Hey people, this is Conrad Layn here. I want to give you a quick tip. Just out and about, and I thought of this something that I've dealt with since I'm growing my fleet and I'm planning to add more vehicles on. Sometimes you get same day, same time bookings. There's times where, for example, I'll have bookings for like 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m., 10 a.m. It's like 8 different 10 a.m.s, either at the same location, which is fine, or sometimes all throughout the area. So I'm gonna teach you a quick tip that I do to actually assist with this. So if you're a single host who's working by yourself, or even if you have a team behind you, this is something smart you can do. So what I typically do is, and check your terms and condition, call Turo just to double check. Don't just believe me, I'm just your neighbor on YouTube. But what I typically would do is, if I'm in a situation and I'm only by myself and I'm growing my fleet and I have multiple cars, multiple bookings for the same day, same time, or that are just a half an hour or a few minutes difference. So that means you have to go way across the other side of town to deliver a vehicle, then you have to come back to your spot. You're gonna end up being late, and which is an inconvenience to your guests. So a strategy to get out of the situation, if you have multiple bookings for the same time and place or similar time frames, is find your local valet for the areas that you're supposed to drop the car off at. So wherever your guest is meeting you to pick up the car and where you're dropping the car off, find a valet service. A lot of times the valet might charge $5, $10, maybe even more, but sometimes it's a pretty convenient price. And what you want to do essentially is you talk to the valet, talk to the manager, talk to the valet, tell them what you're doing. They'll simply take your car, you pay them a valet fee, they hold it, you take a picture of the valet slip, and you text that to your guest, and you let the valet and the valet manager know that another person will be picking up your car and that you're doing Turo. Keep everything transparent as possible, and that strategy will allow you to hack into being able to spread yourself all around the city. So sometimes I have bookings at the airport, sometimes I have bookings at multiple different airports all over California, sometimes it's at my own location, sometimes at their location. Sometimes they might put their address and want me to drive the vehicle to them. So sometimes you just don't have enough time in a day or enough arms and eyes and people to help you. So you have multiple bookings. So what happens is someone gets to the short end of the stick, or you're late because you're delivering a vehicle at 10 a.m. and the other person's booking starts at 10 a.m. or at 10:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. You can't get back to them in time. So what you should do is, whoever's the most difficult person to deliver to, or if it's all of the deliveries, find a valet in that area. Go like about 2 to 3 hours earlier, drop the car off with valet, tell them pay for it, and then at that point, yes, you're paying for it oftentimes, and look at that as you're paying that $10 or $20 as saving money on an employee who will be. It's always great to have an employee if you can afford it and if you have a proper strategy, but employees are a lot more expensive than paying $10 or $20 to utilize a valet system that can allow you to the person to give off the key to the person on your behalf, so you don't have to be there. So if you're in an area where you're delivering a vehicle and you know you can't make it to that person on time, because multiple bookings for the same time frame, give it to valet service. They can actually do it for you, and it's as simple as that. As simple as that, people. Let me show you a trick. Let me go right over. Quick question: How much is valet?
It's 40 overnight.
40, but I mean, just for like an hour or two. How long? How much?
It's gonna be 2 hours, $22.
So it's $11 per hour, right?
$11 the first hour. After that, it's 22 up to 4 hours.
Perfect. Thank you. And that's it, people. So you heard right. So for example, like I said, it's $11 per hour here. There's different prices for different places all over the city. Might be cheaper, might be more expensive. Doesn't really matter. You just want to do your calculations, and then if you do, like she just said, the valet person, $11 per hour. So what that means is, come here an hour earlier. So if your booking's at 10, drop it off at 9 a.m. So that way you're not charged more than that. And if you're charged $22, remember, or if you're charged more, always remember, hey, this is cheaper than having an employee. It's a shift of mind thinking. However, you might look at, hey, I don't have that. If you're gonna not do that and leave money on the table, I mean, come on, you have to pay for this type of service. So sometimes as you're growing your fleet, you have to pay people. You just have to pay. So I mean, do your best to save as much money as possible. I try to find as many free ways to do it, but sometimes you just have to spend money. That's still a good deal. And there's better deals. You don't have to use that location I just went to. That's a valet service I've used before. And what typically happens is they charge $11 per hour. So you drop it off at 9. Great, $11. And then they pick up the car, give it to your guest on your behalf, take all your pictures, and that's it pretty much. That's all you have to do. And make sure if you do that, make sure to get a picture of their driver license prior to them doing this. This is essentially what you're doing is you're verifying who they are. So have them text you and upload a picture of their front, back, and a selfie of them holding their driver license. But again, I'm just a guy on YouTube. Terms always change on YouTube, and this is just a strategy I've implemented, but it could change any day. At this time, from what I know, from my terms and conditions, it's allowed. You can, as long you can actually give access to someone else to give the vehicle on your behalf. Could be an employee, could be someone else, including valet service. So I mean, that's a really great hack. I'm here at a valet service at a beautiful hotel, and you can pick a nice location. You don't have to, but just a different way of thinking. You don't have to do this. Just please consider valet strategy so that you can actually grow your fleet. And if you're only by yourself, and that allows you to keep more profit for yourself because you don't have to pay some employee to do it. And if you do need an employee, nothing wrong with that. Employees are phenomenal, but while you're still growing and growing your fleet, maybe you can't afford that, or maybe it takes too much hard of a hit from your bottom line. Consider the valet strategy, especially if you have multiple bookings for the same time. Now, if you just have one delivery, deliver it yourself, get an electric scooter and call it a day. But if you have multiple cars like I do, and you start growing to 8 cars, 10 cars, 20 cars, 30 cars, 40 cars, gets to a point where they're gonna overlap. You're gonna start getting bookings at the same time, the same place, or all over the city. And at that point, you need to hire employees, or consider Conrad Layn way, a different perspective of valet strategy. So that's a tip for a day. Conrad Layn out. Peace.